The year is 2019. A young man named Kim Kang-woo stands at the edge of the Yalu River. The water temperature is 1 degree Celsius. It is cold enough to kill. But the cold is not what this boy is afraid of. Behind him is Seoul, safety. 3 years of a life he built from nothing. Ahead is a mother waiting for her only son in North Korea, and a law that has never been broken. Since 1998, more than 33,800 people have escaped North Korea. Not one of them ever went back. Until tonight. To fully understand how he broke back into North Korea, you first have to understand why he left. Kim grew up in a border town, close enough to China that on a clear night he could see the lights from the other side, close enough to want something different, but far enough to know wanting was dangerous. Kim was a top student, disciplined, focused, the kind of kid who should have had options. But in North Korea, options belong to the people born into the right families, the regime's inner circle. Kim was born into none of that, so he got the fields, the factories, the labor that goes nowhere. His father had looked at this same river and made the same calculation years earlier. He never came back. The current took him. His body was never found. Standing at the edge of the same river where his father disappeared, 20-year-old Kim decided he would not spend the rest of his life here. Before he left, he sat with his mother, In Seoul. He told her he had made up his mind. He could not stay and slowly disappear inside a country that had already taken his father. She did not try to stop him. She could not encourage him either. In North Korea, neighbors watched. A mother seen crying over a son who was about to disappear was evidence. That was a problem that would come back in uniforms. So she handed him a boiled egg. He put it back in her hands. He walked into the dark. She could not even watch him go. I felt sorry that he met the wrong mother who couldn't give him a better life, she would later say. I thought I would never see him again. May 2016. The river is 70 meters wide, narrow enough to swim, wide enough to die in. Kim steps into the river. The cold hits every nerve in his body at the same moment. A full body alarm with one message. Turn back. He doesn't. Halfway across, his fingers stop working. He can see his hands gripping the water, but he cannot feel them. 3/4 of the way, his legs slow down. The cold moves past his muscles into something deeper. Then his boots hit gravel. He drags himself into a drainage culvert and lets his heart rate come down. He watches the guard tower searchlight move in a slow, predictable arc. 6 minutes until it sweeps back. He moves, but China was not safety. North Korean refugees caught there are sent straight back to the regime. No hearing, just a prison camp. So he kept moving. China, Laos, Thailand. 5 months of hiding in truck beds, drinking rainwater, with no documents, and no plan except forward. 11 months after he left home, his mother received word. Her son had made it to Seoul. He was alive. Seoul gave Kim something North Korea never had, the ability to work for himself. So he worked, construction, a mattress store, a cell phone store, every job he could find. Every night walking home, he thought about her. Every meal that was better than what he grew up eating, he thought about her. By 2019, he had saved enough. He found a broker through the Defector network with a reputation for getting people out alive. He paid the full amount, then he waited. The call finally came, but his mother's voice on the other end was not relief. It was fear. She was at the rendezvous point. Something felt wrong, a sound she couldn't place. In a moment of panic, she aborted. By the time she steadied herself, the extraction window had closed. The line dropped. The broker disappeared with the money. Kim stood there with a dead phone in his hand. 3 years of work, every cent he had, gone. Most people stop here. But not Kim Kang-woo. He covered an entire wall of his apartment with satellite maps of the Yalu River basin. Guard tower positions marked in red. Patrol intervals traced in blue string. Minefields highlighted in yellow. He trained himself to lie completely still on his apartment floor for hours at a time. No movement, no sound. By the 3rd month, he could do 6 hours straight. He ran along the Han River at midnight with 15 kilograms of sand packed into a bag on his back. He bought gear and cash, black thermal clothing, a waterproof dry bag, high-calorie rations, a survival knife with an 8-inch blade. He hoped the knife would stay in its sheath. He trained with it anyway. He booked a one-way flight to Shenyang, China. He spent 48 hours on the Chinese riverbank, crouched in underbrush, logging guard rotations in a notebook down to the minute. On the 3rd night, he took a rusted razor and shaved his head. He pulled on the black thermals and walked to the water's edge. This time, he was not running away from something. He was going back for someone. He entered the water. The lateral pull grabbed him immediately, but his body remembered what to do. 36 months of running the Han River with a weighted pack had changed him. By the time the far bank came into reach, he was running on nothing but absolute resolve. He pressed himself into the shadow of the North Korean bank. The searchlight moved in the exact 6-minute arc he had memorized. He stayed low, heading toward a ravine 3 kilometers away. 50 meters out, his boot came down on a dry branch. The crack split the silence like a gunshot. Who's there? A flashlight beam cut through the trees. Boots crushed the leaves. 20 meters. The guard found the branch. Stopped. His rifle came up. Kim came out of cover. His left hand knocked the rifle barrel sideways. His right palm drove into the guard's throat. The soldier choked and squeezed the trigger. The shot went harmlessly into the sky. The guard swung the rifle like a club. Kim ducked into the dirt, and his hand found a rock. The sound it made when he struck, he would hear it in his nightmares for years. The guard dropped alive but unconscious. Kim kicked the rifle into a ditch and ran into the ravine. For 8 days, Kim moved through North Korea only between 2 and 5 in the morning. He slept in abandoned sheds and half-collapsed grain silos, lying still in the dark while rats moved across his legs. The mountains were familiar, but the checkpoints had multiplied. Soldiers stood at every intersection. Worse, his voice had changed. 3 years in Seoul had smoothed his accent and added South Korean slang. 30 seconds of conversation, and he would be finished. On the 9th night, Kim crouched behind a woodpile at the edge of his mother's lane. A candle burned in the window. She was alive. He crossed the lane and knocked 3 times, the pattern they had agreed on before he left. The door opened a crack. His mother looked at a mud-covered stranger with a shaved head and started to close it. "Mom, it's me." 3 seconds of silence. Then she grabbed his collar and pulled him inside, hands shaking too hard to latch the door. They held each other in the dark for 90 seconds. Then she whispered, "They will kill you. They will kill us both. Why did you come back?" Kim lived inside a crawlspace behind the wall panels, 18 inches wide, 4 feet long. He lay on his side, motionless. At night, he hiked 2 kilometers to a hilltop to catch a faint Chinese cell signal, whispering coded phrases to broker contacts. But no broker believed a defector had swum back into North Korea. It sounded like a trap. Then on the 22nd night, tires on gravel, engines cut before they stopped. The Bowibu, North Korean state security. Kim watched through a slit in the wood as 2 officers tore the house apart. One flashlight beam stopped on the wall panel. The officer knocked against it, hollow. Kim's hand closed around the knife handle. Then his mother's voice came through the wood, entirely unbothered. "Mice, I hear them every night." The officer muttered something and waved his partner out. His mother was shaking so hard she couldn't stand. They both knew the Bowibu would be back. With dogs. 3 a.m. candlelight. "If I stay, we both die," Kim told her. "If I leave, they follow me. They want the person who came back across the river. Not you." She nodded. She had spent her entire life learning when doors close. Kim memorized the way her hands felt. "I will come back for you." Before dawn, he went out the back, leaving his mother to face a border that had just tripled its security looking for him. He spent 2 days in the forest. Dogs scoured the riverbank. Floodlights covered the Yalu in overlapping beams. The crossing was a kill zone. Then a storm came in from Manchuria. Rain so heavy it swallowed sound. Lightning hit the power. The floodlights flickered. Dead. 30 seconds of darkness. Kim ran down the slope and hit the swollen, violent water. Halfway across, the searchlights came back on, sweeping the river behind him. He surfaced past the light's reach, pulled himself up, and collapsed into the mud, alive, free, alone. 3 weeks later at Incheon Airport, NIS agents were waiting at the gate. South Korean law states that entering North Korea without authorization carries up to 3 years in prison. The law did not ask why. 6 weeks of interrogation in a windowless room. Spy, handler, Pyongyang, secrets. Every time, the same answer. "I went for my mother, that is all." Eventually they believed him. A judge handed down a lenient sentence of 2 years probation, a system that simply had no category for what he had done. 4 months into his sentence, a guard brought Kim to the warden's office. There was a call from a new broker, someone who had finally verified the impossible story. "Your mother's out. She crossed 2 weeks ago. She's in Thailand, waiting for her visa to Seoul." September 13th, 2020. Kim walked out of prison. His mother was waiting in a donated coat. He crossed to her in 3 steps, and neither of them spoke. They live in Seoul now. His mother has plants on her balcony that survive the winter because there is heating. Kim drives a Mercedes he is paying off as fast as he can. He gets his hair cut at a salon, though she still disapproves of his torn jeans. It's fashion, he tells her. 33,800 people have escaped North Korea since 1998. Kim Kang-woo is the only one known to have returned, and made it out a second time.